Unrivaled could be seeing its final days as Paige Bueckers and gang could not save the viewership from tanking. What does this mean for the WNBA when they make their return back to TV? We finna talk about it. I told you guys a couple months ago that the views was going down on the channel. Like the WNBA content wasn't looking too good. I was one of the first people to say that about the whole genre itself. Told y'all we was gonna be making big time changes on the channel. Now I say that to say this. Now there has been news to come out about Unrivaled viewership been down nearly 70%.
So this was supposed to be the moment everything clicked. The big validation. The proof that all the planning and investment had been worth it. Instead, in just 1 week, more than half the audience disappeared completely, and the blame game started before the numbers even finished loading. But here's the thing about that massive exodus. It wasn't some freak accident or stroke of bad timing. People walked away the instant they realized what wasn't there, the exact thing they'd shown up hoping to find. Once that hit them, no amount of spin or desperate scrambling could undo what happened next.
So the first set of Unrivaled ratings are in, and it's been kind of grim. And by kind of grim, I mean really, really grim. If you are Unrivaled, this is, if these are your ratings every single week on True TV, it's not the biggest disaster in the world, because by the looks of things, these True TV ratings were similar enough to what they were a year ago. Similar enough to what they were a year ago.
We're talking about 60% just vanishing. Not a gradual slide or some temporary dip you could write off. This was a straight-up mass evacuation from what was supposed to be the rebellious newcomer, the fresh alternative, the exciting risk worth taking. 1 week in, and viewers weren't politely drifting away. They bolted like someone had just reminded them about all those streaming services they're already paying for. All that unwatched content sitting in their queues, literally anything more engaging than what was happening in front of them.
Man, the Caitlin Clark shoot for Gamebridge Sports, man. This is going crazy. Now, we have to get into this, man, because this is honestly a little disheartening. Like, we're a week away from Unrivaled. Nobody seems to care. Honestly, it seemed like nobody gives a rat's ass about Unrivaled this season. There's no anticipation. Absolutely nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about the games. Nobody's talking. The Angel Reese mean that much to Unrivaled. Hey, I just gotta.
Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. The audience didn't bail on Unrivaled because of some bias or agenda against women's basketball. They actually showed up, took a good look around, and immediately spotted what was missing. The one thing they'd actually come looking for. The moment that registered, the remote became their weapon of choice, quick and ruthless.
Just to see if it improved from last year, which I suffered through because I just watched it because a lot of people don't know how to watch Unrivaled. So I went on lives. I even aired it. And I don't know how I did it, man, because it was just boring and too many clanks and air balls. Well, the clank and air balls are back again. I think it's exactly like last year, just new faces.
On the surface, everything looked perfect. Primetime placement, TNT backing it up, the kind of major network platform that leagues dream about landing. Instead, the viewer counts came back looking like something between a nightmare and please make it stop. Just over 100,000 for opening night. Not niche success, not misunderstood genius, just brutal. Especially when you remember last year's debut pulled almost 280,000 and people still called that barely adequate.
Yes, the numbers for the first games or the first week of Unrivaled is in, and like I told y'all, they're horrible. And I've been telling y'all this is gonna happen because 3-on-3 basketball is boring. It's not entertaining. It's nothing special about it. And all the real fans that claim that, oh, this is the best basketball ever. No, it's not. It's not interesting. Even if you just look at here, the numbers drop from 208,000 to 175,000. And that's just the...
This wasn't some random weeknight game nobody promoted either. This was launch night, the exact moment when curiosity should be running hottest, when casual fans should be wandering in to see what all the fuss is about and maybe sticking around. Instead, they wandered in, glanced around, and ran like they'd spotted smoke. The excuses started flying immediately. Same network, similar numbers, building for the future, different target audience. But all that logic falls apart when you realize this wasn't buried on some obscure channel at 3 in the morning. This was premium real estate. Maximum exposure. The kind of spotlight that's supposed to elevate your profile, not expose your problems. And problems got exposed all right. Because when the games actually started, the product couldn't back up all that hype. The hardcore fans stuck around, obviously. They always do. They're the ones breaking down plays online, arguing strategy, swearing everything's going according to plan. But that's exactly the issue. If you're already obsessed with women's basketball, you'll watch no matter what. You're not the growth target, you're the base. Everyone else took one look and left.
Big T, they get it. They definitely get it. They really just hating. Like, I hear the same people that say they don't like 3v3 say that they like 1v1. Like, are y'all kidding me, bro? Like, you can't do 3v3, but you can watch 1v1 where there's not even any passing or any type of handoffs or screens or cuts or any type of team-oriented action. Y'all can do that, though, right? Fuck out of here. 3v3 is literally an Olympic sport, and you still got these clowns out here finding a way to talk shit. And then y'all want to say, oh, get out your feelings, get out your feel. Like, bro, y'all can't get me in my feelings. Like I said, we appreciate the...
Here's where things get really uncomfortable, because the ratings didn't just drop. They specifically crashed whenever one particular person wasn't playing. Games with Paige Bueckers pulled decent numbers. Games without her, under 1,000. Gone. No gray area whatsoever. Just a straight cliff. That's not balanced appeal. That's total dependence. Paige isn't just a draw. She's the entire draw. The only one. The backup generator keeping the lights on while everything else flickers. Even then, her ceiling isn't exactly sky high. Her games don't explode with viewers. They just survive. Which tells you everything. People can debate stars and storylines and rivalries all they want. The audience already voted, with their absence. They want Caitlin Clark-level magnetism, that specific kind of gravitational pull. You can stack legends and recognizable names and massive hype and slick production, and viewers will still say neat idea and not watch. Unrivaled smashed straight into that wall. And the warning signs were everywhere. Last season's ratings started okay, then steadily crumbled. Playoffs somehow drew fewer viewers than regular season games, which is almost impossible, unless audiences genuinely don't care about the outcomes. The one-on-one competition actually outperformed league games, which should have triggered alarm bells.
Last year it was... Am I right in saying last year? Was last year at 1.0? No, last year was 0.1. 0.1. So it is a 60... So last year, 0.1 was 280,000, as far as I'm aware. At the same time, 0.4 is that minus 60%. That being said, it's still over 100,000 viewers. But this is on national TV. Like, that is grim. That is genuinely grim. Like, I'm gonna be honest here. Like, that is a not ideal number for Unrivaled, especially...
It's opening night, but instead of course correcting, they doubled down and people somehow still argued about whether Paige was the main attraction. She absolutely is. No question. When she plays, numbers go up. When she doesn't, they crater. That's not opinion, that's math. The rest of the league, background noise. Sometimes interesting noise, sure, but not must-see, not appointment television, not something casual fans feel compelled to stick with once the initial curiosity wears off. Losing other recognizable faces made everything worse. Angel Reese, controversial as she might be, brought real tension. She brought unpredictability, something that felt electric. Breanna brought name recognition. Their absence didn't just weaken the roster, it killed the drama. What's left is a bunch of incredibly talented players stuck in a format that's working against them. No defensive structure, no offensive flow, especially when the on-court product can't deliver. Eventually fans stop debating and just disappear. That's the most dangerous thing possible, because silence doesn't drive engagement. The league needed two things to work. Short term, it needed Caitlin Clark-level star power, someone generating buzz regardless of format. Long term, it needed to look like actual basketball, 5-on-5. Structural familiarity, something recognizable enough for casual viewers to settle into.
Rival is I don't want to say it's dead, but hey, let's look at some of this behind the scenes footage they had from Media Day. I know y'all not interested in watching Unrivaled. I can already tell, man. It's crazy. Y'all doing all this, and it like, are people actually interested in watching the games though? I don't think this 3-on-3 thing gonna work like that. I gotta be honest. I'm gonna give it an eye. I'm gonna try to check it out, but I don't know how long y'all gonna be able to keep people around with this 3-on-3 stuff, man. I just gotta keep it real. We gotta keep it real, man. I don't think people really caring about watching it.
Instead, they expanded franchises without fixing core problems, kept a format audiences already rejected, and somehow brought in developmental players who never actually get minutes. They sit, they practice, they wait. For what exactly? Nobody seems Some of them left overseas contracts with guaranteed playing time for this. Real opportunities, meaningful roles, and now they're expensive bench decorations. That's not strategic thinking. That's organizational chaos. When chaos meets national TV exposure, audiences pick up on it immediately. This whole situation feels eerily familiar, like a wrestling promotion that swore it would destroy the industry leader, spent heavily, generated endless hype, and finally learned that money can't manufacture cultural relevance. You can pour resources in for years, but if fans don't emotionally connect, the ceiling never budges. Unrivaled isn't dead. Not yet. It'll probably get renewed. Contracts will be reworked, partnerships tweaked, budgets reconsidered. But trust? Once that's gone, it's almost impossible to get back, because once audience goodwill evaporates, every flaw gets magnified. Every mistake looks deliberate. Every missed rotation feels worse. Every explanation sounds like damage control dressed up as optimism. That's exactly where Unrivaled is heading. Into that dangerous zone where fans don't even bother arguing anymore. They just shrug. And shrugging kills leads.
Remember during the WNBA season? Oh my gosh, all the ratings, the record ratings, blah, 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 blah. But what did we say continuously here on this channel? Yeah, record ratings. Of course you guys are going to have record ratings. Nielsen changed how they count numbers. Of course their ratings are going to be more. It would be kind of embarrassing if they were that much less. Well, Sustainable Unrivaled, their numbers came out and they are less.
What makes this whole thing almost incredible is how predictable it was. The warning signs weren't subtle. They were screaming. Last season already proved that familiarity didn't build interest. It killed it. The deeper into the season they went, the fewer people cared. That's the opposite of momentum. That's structural collapse. Yet somehow, the response was doubling down on the exact same structure, hoping different results would magically appear. Same format, same messaging, same assumption that audiences just needed better education. Like people need instruction manuals to enjoy basketball. They don't. They need real stakes. They need continuity. They need something that feels important beyond isolated highlight clips and social media fights. 3-on-3, no matter how you package it, struggles to provide that across a full season. It's fast, sure, chaotic, absolutely, but chaos without meaningful consequences gets old fast. It's momentarily entertaining at best. When Paige plays, people put up with the chaos because there's a recognizable star holding it all together. Someone familiar, someone they want to watch, someone providing gravity. Without her, the whole thing just floats. That's not disrespecting other players. That's acknowledging star power reality. Every league has it. Every successful league depends on it. Pretending otherwise leads directly to shocked reactions, over 60% drops, while insisting everything's fine.
Close off avenues where you can make more money. Help me understand, as a stupid man, because I don't get it. I'm annoyed because last night, Unrivaled Basketball, they had a lot of preseason games. They had Paige Bueckers playing against Marina Mabry, but I don't know what happened. Why is the promotion for this thing so bad. Like, I don't get it. You go to their YouTube, you don't see any live streams. If you're like me and you're interested in this type of thing and you want to go back and watch the preseason games you missed yesterday, you can't do that. You can't. There's no way. There was no promotion whatsoever. Like, you want this thing to grow and flourish, and yet the only way you see it is from short clips on social media. I want to watch it in its entirety. Like, if you've watched the previous season in a 3-on-3 setting, these women play very hard. They be out there beating the shit out of each other.
It's also why social media arguments completely miss the mark. Fans screaming at other fans for not watching doesn't create viewers. It drives them away. Nobody has ever been guilt-tripped into becoming a regular audience member. If anything, it speeds up their exit. You cannot shame people into caring, especially when the product itself doesn't reward their time. Then there's the weird obsession with defending numbers by comparing them to last year's averages while conveniently forgetting context. Last year's numbers worked because novelty existed, because curiosity was real, because people were willing to experiment. This year, curiosity already got spent completely. Game 1 should be your peak. The night even skeptics tune in just to see what changed. Instead, Unrivaled feels like building the second story while the first floor still needs walls. Even internal moves raise serious questions. Developmental players never seeing court time. Bigger rosters without bigger opportunities. More franchises without better core experience. Everything feels rushed and strangely lost. Like decisions made to look ambitious rather than solve real problems.
Sustainable, they say. Unrivaled is sustainable, they say. They say. Ratings have come out for Unrivaled, and folks, if I was to say fall off a cliff, if I was to say significant drop off, I would be underselling how underperforming day 1 of Unrivaled really was.
Fans sense that immediately. They might not know specifics, but they recognize when something feels fundamentally broken. When a league seems more worried about image than actual performance. When the conversations about it are louder than the games themselves. That's when interest becomes background noise. Comparisons to failed challengers in other sports aren't unfair. History is full of leagues that had money, talent, and hype, but lacked patience and clear strategy. They burned bright, spent big, promised everything, and eventually faded once novelty wore off. The scary part for Unrivaled is how fast novelty disappeared. 1 season in, people were already checking out. 2 seasons in, they're actively staying away. That's not gradual decline. That's a crisis signal. Success requires rivalries that build naturally over time. Not constant reinvention, just to be different. Different only matters when it's better. Right now, Unrivaled is different and worse. Faster but sloppier. Flashier but emptier. That's a killer combination when asking people to invest time week after week. The ironic part is the solution isn't complicated. The playbook is obvious. Move toward real basketball. Drop the gimmicks. Let stars shine in formats people already know. Build stories organically instead of forcing them through manufactured hype cycles.
I'm going to tell y'all why this is bad. Because last year, it wasn't like they was cracking hella views to begin with. They wasn't even getting hella views at all last year. Now, this year, their views is down by nearly 70%. This is very bad. Now, towards the decline of the WNBA season, towards the end of the season, we start seeing the WNBA kind of fudge the numbers, taking into account group party watch party viewerships, counting those into effect like bars and stuff like that.
But that means admitting the current approach isn't working. And that's the hardest thing to do, because acknowledging that means recognizing these ratings aren't unlucky accidents. They're deserved. They reflect exactly how audiences feel. Initially curious, quickly disappointed, completely gone once the illusion breaks. That's why the 60% drop matters so much. Not because of the raw number, but because of what it represents. Mass understanding. Collective realization that, oh, this is it. And once that moment happens, it's incredibly hard to come back from. You can tweak marketing, shuffle broadcast times, lean harder on the one star keeping things alive. But unless the core experience changes fundamentally, the ceiling stays low. The audience has already told you what they want, loudly, repeatedly. through their absence. Ignore that long enough, and eventually silence becomes forever.